So, Linus Tech Tips and Pokimane, who are two of the internet's biggest creators, had a bit of a beef after Linus criticized one of Pokimane's tweets live on his podcast. Hey, this is me editing the video, and I just realized that I call Pokimane Pokimane many times throughout it. That was not intentional. I was not making fun of her. I was just not thinking and not reading my script properly, and I just misspoke. My apologies for that, but every time I say Pokimane, I'm referring to Pokimane, and back to the video. And we'll talk exactly about what he said in just a minute, but it's important that I give you a kind of big overview about everything we're going to be discussing in this video so you know where we're going. Pokimane caught wind of this and tweeted at Linus saying that it was odd and hurtful the way he had mocked her tweet on his podcast. Linus saw her tweet and then tweeted back apologizing, saying that while it wasn't personal, it was rude. And this response caught me off guard a little bit because previously Linus has been pretty inflammatory on Twitter, like the hot take from a little while back where he called using an ad blocker literal piracy. And that's not me misquoting him. He said it was actual piracy. Ad blocking is the exact same thing as piracy. Literally the exact same thing. I don't think I need to tell you the many reasons that is wrong. But all of that aside, what it boils down to is a simple story where Linus said something insensitive on his podcast, Pokimane heard about it and reached out to him. Linus then responded very maturely and apologized. They took it to DMs. And then everyone just kind of moved on with their lives. And that was it. That was the drama. It was just two adults handling things like adults. Imagine that. Especially in a cyberspace that rewards drama because it gets so many views. The fact that two people were willing to just settle it and move on was really quite astounding to me. And originally, that is what this video was going to be about, talking about how it is possible for two adults to have a disagreement online and it be handled maturely and everyone just kind of gets over it, and that's okay. And again, I'll get into exactly what the specifics of what Linus said was, but then while making this video, I came across this second and surprisingly similar drama between JiDion and Hasan Piker. JiDion put out a video that Hasan reacted to live on stream and said some less than kind things. Then JiDion reacted to Hasan reacting to JiDion, and then Hasan reacted to JiDion reacting to Hasan reacting to JiDion. And are you seeing how different the situations were handled? These two huge streamers saw an opportunity to feed off of the hate and drama that's derived from reacting to each other and fighting back and forth over cyberspace, and they both capitalized on it. So I want to contrast the discourse between Linus and Pokimane and then the discourse between Hasan and JiDion. So let's just jump right into what happened. And first, here's what Linus said on his podcast about Pokimane's tweet.
I saw a really terrible take from a Twitch creator that was like, Twitch should just have ads that are totally non-intrusive, like to the viewer. Like their ads should just like not be intrusive. Do you have any idea how much Twitch costs to run? And do you think that static banner ads on a website are going to pay for it? Intrusive ads are not going to pay for a site like Twitch, no matter how many of them they plastered on the page. No advertiser is going to pay for an unintrusive ad because they don't work, because they don't call your attention away. Obviously.
So that was said, and then Pokimane caught wind of it and decided to follow up with this tweet. Hey, I just saw a clip where you discussed my tweet on your podcast. I wanted to let you know that I felt the way you read my tweet in a mocking tone, plus referred to me as a nameless creator, albeit also replying to this tweet, was odd and hurtful. She then goes on in the tweet and lays out exactly what she meant and defends the stance that she had previously stated in her previous tweet. That's not really important to this video, so I'm just going to skip to the end where she says, I've known of you and admired your channel/content for a long time, so I wanted to express this directly to you instead of just holding in the bad impression I got from the clip I saw. Wish you the best. Now, the first thing I want to say here is no one in this situation is perfect. Now, in a perfect world, Linus would have just been less condescending of it as he quoted the tweet, and in a perfect world, Pokimane would have just let it go. However, I do see Linus's frustration that a large group of people are just getting something completely wrong. And I see Pokimane's frustration that for the millionth time in her life, she's being called out online. Now, I'm not justifying it, of course, but given all the garbage that she's gone through, it makes sense that her first reaction was to defend herself. But in any event, what she did was she tweeted at Linus, and Linus read the tweet and responded with this. Thanks for the reply. I underestimated the internet's ability to put two and two together on this one. And to pause right there, that does seem like a bizarrely naive thing to say. Linus is a smart guy, and for him to assume that there would be no overlap between two of the internet's biggest creators is just really insane to me. However, he basically just goes on to say that he was just disappointed that someone as business-minded as Pokimane would have such a poor take on the situation, saying that she, instead of offering any good solutions, basically just stirred up anger, and he was annoyed about that. However, he ended it out by saying, "It's not personal, but it was rude, and I'm sorry about that. As a way of apologizing, if you're interested in exploring your newfound multi-platform freedom, we had spent considerable development resources on multi-streaming and could help point you and your team in the right direction. It's not much, but I don't want any bad blood. I believe in transparency, so I prefer to leave the episode unedited, but I'll make sure my team doesn't clip it, and I'll remove the original reply to this. Should be a little tougher to track down. Followed if you want to talk." And in the final tweet of the saga, Pokimane replies with this: "Appreciate the kind reply, apology, and elaborating on your points. I can see how my tweet could have been misinformed, but I was just being short. I'm also someone who's typically more biased towards Twitch, so stirring up anger from them is far from my MO. We'll DM to continue the convo." And that was the end of it. Except, of course, for the Peanut Gallery, which jumped in with such helpful commentary as, "Don't apologize to her. You have the right to say something. She's not your boss. She isn't anyone special. If she can have an opinion, you can too. Stop being a beta male. She talks shit all the time, but people simp on her like she's special. Hashtag, she's not special." Twitter, you never fail to disappoint. But my main point is, that was it. That was the end. It was just two adults who had gotten off on the wrong foot by saying some maybe slightly insensitive things, owning up to their mistakes, apologizing publicly, and then taking it privately where it probably should have been handled in the first place. No drama videos were made, aside from this one. There was no calling out, no unnecessary reaction streams, nothing. Just mature conversation that Linus then took to the next level in his next podcast episode where he said this.
And what I also need to do is say, hey, sorry, my bad. That was my bad. And I think the reason that I just like knee-jerk reacted to it was because I was like, I thought she got it. And it seemed like she didn't get it. And then it turns out she super gets it. And it was just me who didn't get it.
And now let's look at our other pair that we're discussing today, Hasan and JiDion. So JiDion went to a place called Harrison, Arkansas, which has been dubbed the most racist town in America. And he basically went to see if he, as a black man, would be treated poorly. And the video was fine, I guess. I mean, he's his usual self in it.
Attention patrons of Walmart. I am trying to conduct an interview with Tom Robb. Does anybody know Tom Robb by any chance? Raise your hand if you might know Tom Robb. No? Do you guys know Tom Robb?
My initial thought was that it's not really my thing, but I don't really care because he's not doing anything bad, wrong, or hurting anyone. He's a content creator making content, and that's fine. However, the more I watched, the more interested I became, specifically at this dialogue, where he talks with someone who claims that they're not racist, they're just separationists, wherein black people and white people are equal, but they should be kept separate, which is awfully reminiscent of the separate but equal doctrine. And spoilers, that is textbook definition racism. But the video ends out with JiDion being invited to a local high school to meet all of his fans there, and finally being asked to interview with the mayor, where he actually talks to and has a real conversation with him. There's no pranks, no yelling, no gotcha, just an honest, albeit serious talk about Harrison and the connotations it's had ever since videos have gone viral calling it the most racist town in America. And then the video ends, leaving you feeling weirdly good about a video that I thought would just leave me feeling depressed. And then along came Hasan. Now, I'm not going to show many clips from Hasan's reaction because the video is just way too long. But basically, Hasan patronizes JiDion by pausing the video and explaining racism to him and how it works, as if he wouldn't know. And JiDion is rightfully upset about this.
Like, just because a fucking town is racist, one, doesn't mean that they're going to be like literally fucking running around and doing hate crimes to every black person they see. I don't know why Americans have such a twisted and broken fucking understanding of what racism is, which is weird. I mean, I know JiDion doesn't give a shit because he's like, you know, he's a content creator first. Like, that's what.
I mean, no, I do give a shit because, you know, first, I'm a black man. Like, it doesn't matter how many followers I have or what influence I have. First thing first, I'm a black man, you know? Like, not everybody in the world knows who I am, you know? When people just see me walk down the street, I'm just a regular black guy. So, first thing I do care. And then second thing, I don't have a skewed perception of what racism is. I've been black 21 years of my life. I've been black 21 years of my life. I know what racism is. I know the different forms that it comes in and stuff like that.
So what we have here is JiDion making a video about the so-called most racist town in America, Hasan reacting to JiDion's video and implying that JiDion doesn't know what racism is somehow, JiDion then defending himself from Hasan's take about him not knowing what racism is, and finally Hasan puts out a video called Am I Racist, in which he, and you're never going to believe this, reacts to JiDion reacting to himself reacting to JiDion's original video. And as this was all unfolding, I couldn't help but think how very childish all of these people are being with such mature topics. You're both grown adults with large internet followings and mutual friends. Talk to each other. Better yet, talk to each other live on stream so that this amnesty isn't being bred between the two of you and between your communities. If you read Hasan's chat while he's reacting, it's just a constant stream of abuse towards JiDion, and I don't know what JiDion's chat said about Hasan, but I can imagine it's probably pretty similar. And at no point in this whole saga does anyone think that maybe sitting in your room and yelling at each other from behind the safety of a screen is not the best way to solve your problems. And one of the most ironic parts is that when JiDion was reacting to Hasan reacting to JiDion's original video, JiDion says this.
You know what's so crazy? You know what's so crazy? I bet you all these people, when BLM was happening back in 2020 and stuff like that, they were reposting the black square and stuff like that, all that stuff, anything Black Lives Matter related, retweeting and stuff like that. But I bet you these niggas would never leave their house, go into the field, and then, because how are you gonna stop racism if all you're gonna do is just cancel it behind the screen? Like, you can't, bro. You're gonna have to get down and dirty and get in the field and stuff like that. And these niggas are calling me a clown, this is the cringiest shit and stuff like that. But I bet you if you ask any of these people, they'll be like, oh yeah, I'm totally against racism. But if I was to ask them to come out with me to help like make a change and stuff like that, these niggas would stay right in their chairs, bro. They would not fucking leave their house at all. They would stay right in their fucking chairs and just watch behind the screen.
Social media activism is a good thing to call out, and I entirely agree with him on this statement. But after calling people out for sitting in their chairs and not addressing the problem, he sits in his chair and doesn't address the problem. And in JiDion's defense, he did not start this. He put out a surprisingly good video highlighting how wrong the stereotypes were about a particular town. And Hasan was the one who went out of his way to criticize JiDion. I'm more than willing to concede that Hasan is a huge part and probably even most of the issue in this scenario. But the point still remains that with a single tweet or DM, one of them could have reached out and buried the knife. And at the same time, set an outstanding example for their audiences about how they're coming together to talk despite their differences. There's a huge opportunity for learning and for growth, both for them and for their audiences, and they're bypassing that chance in order to be able to crank out hours and hours of content and make some profit off of it. Linus Tech Tips and Pokimane had a total of about 15 minutes of footage between them, and that includes the initial confrontation on Linus's podcast and also Linus's subsequent apology on the next podcast. As for Hasan and JiDion, they had 3 hours and 10 minutes of footage on YouTube about the drama. And I think what it comes down to is that even with a topic as serious as this, when you have the ability to spread a really good and positive message to a lot of people, at the end of the day, 3 hours and 10 minutes is a lot of mid-roll ads. Thanks for watching.